Good morning. Today I was waiting for the 444. It didn't sneak up on me like it did yesterday. The title that I've chosen for this morning, or maybe it was chosen for me, I'm not sure, is Awakening the Divine to Feed the Multitude. It was a strange dream, with people coming up from underground and the command being given to feed them. Of course, my mind went to the story of Jesus feeding the multitude with a few fish and loaves of bread. My meditation yielded more to the dream as I realized that today, among other things, people around the world will be protesting the corporate feeding of the people with genetically modified, poisoned food patented by Monsanto. Obviously, the food we are talking about here is not that food, but something different, something that is a game changer. The image came to me that the food that would really feed the multitude awakening from the underground where the dead have been imprisoned would be more akin to manna from heaven. This bread of life would awaken the divine in humanity, transforming consciousness and creating a new society, a new world based on compassion, rather than the old paradigm of competition, of manipulated mind control based on the false concept of lack. I'm still pondering these images, these thoughts of awakening the divine to feed the multitude. It's interesting that for several weeks I wasn't remembering my dreams. But the last few days I have been having vivid dreams that I'm remembering, including another flying dream yesterday where I was able to leap a tall building in a single bound. um, and I won't go into that dream, only that I was able to, when I saw my path blocked in a dead alley, I was able just to rise up above the building and gain higher perspective. That was interesting. That was my dream with a nap. But today I awakened, it was between 2 and 2:30 with this dream that I pondered, and then finally I did fall back to sleep. But I had gone down underground looking for something, and what I found was all these people that were just coming, like, I don't know, they were underground, but yet it was like they were coming up. As I went down, I opened something going down, and it released these people, and they started coming up. And the thought came to me, I don't know if it was words or thought or what it was, but feed them. They need to be fed. And that's pretty much when I woke up. Okay, they need to be fed. Well, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? And of course, as I said in the blurb, Jesus taking the 5 loaves and 7 fishes, and I forget the other one. There were two miracles recorded in the Gospels in the New Testament of Jesus feeding the multitude. And that was the first thing that came to mind as I laid there pondering this dream of feeding the people that were coming from underground. And I mean, as I meditated on it this morning and I went into the meditation room, it's like they're coming up from the dead. They're being awakened from the dead. And coming to the surface. Zombies? No, they didn't look like zombies. They looked like regular people. Not like zombies, not like people that would be coming up from their grave. They weren't in grave clothes. They looked normal. In the dream, they looked normal. But of course, I pondered, as I said, Monsanto and what the world controllers that have been in control of this planet's evolution, it seems, for a long time. What they have been doing is trying to keep people from waking up, keep people from being fed nourishing food, and rather feed them food that's been doctored to create poisons in the body and make people sick and unhealthy instead of the opposite. Well, obviously, in the dream, the command was to give people food that would nourish them. And maybe that's what I'm doing. Maybe that's what many are doing as we awaken our gifts, as we awaken the talents that are within us, and we heed the call of the cosmos to wake up, to return from being dead, return from our slumber and our nightmare, and allow the creativity that is within the human spirit and the human soul to come alive. The same creativity that the archons, the dark energy forces, don't have. They don't have the compassion and the creativity that is a human characteristic implanted at the very beginning by the divine. They don't have that, according to David Icke. And I listened to part 2 of his message last night that he gave at last fall in England, I think Wembley Stadium. But anyway, he was talking about how the archons are unable to create. If you give them a blank sheet of paper, they won't have a clue what to do with it because they have no creativity. But if you give them a paper with something on it, they know how to manipulate what is. And everything in our world has been manipulation, including the genetic modification of our food. Everything is inside out and upside down and ass backwards. Everything in our world, because the archons only know how to manipulate and create the illusion, create a reality that isn't true, including the illusion that there's lack. There's never, when we are creative beings, there can never be lack, because the value, our value, is in our ability to create, our ability to manifest something that is real, not something that is a lie and artificial, but something that is real. And we have that within each of us. And many of us, not all of us yet, not even the majority yet, but many of us are awakening to that divine imprint, if you will, that is within our DNA, within the structure of our soul and of our created essence, if you will. That is part of who we are. And that part that the archons and the jinn and the demons have tried to suppress, that is coming to the surface nevertheless, even with all of the New World Order tactics of suppression and poisoning and mind control and just creating a world that is, as I said, inside out and upside down, where physicians, instead of healing, actually do things that further harm the patient by masking symptoms and creating new problems with their so-called medicines, and how justice is perverted by the very attorneys and judges that are supposed to be the stalwarts of justice. They pervert justice, and how religion distorts spirituality and distorts the truth of who we are and keeps us imprisoned in lies and false concepts and dead and underground, rather than coming up for the light of the sun, coming out from underground and saying, hey, wait a minute, the sun is shining, the cosmos is sending us energy, manna from heaven is coming down, and we are being fed. We are being fed food that nourishes our souls, that revives our spirits, that rejuvenates our bodies, that lifts us to a new plateau of awakening and a new renaissance of creativity. This is what's happening in 2013. Today's a day of I believe the full moon. It's a day of an, is it a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse? I can't remember, but there's an eclipse that's happening today. And of course, it's the day of protesting Monsanto and protesting the way the world has been and saying, we don't want this crap anymore. We don't want this genetically modified stuff that you put pesticides in, that the pesticides turn in our bodies, that even the insects won't eat. You put genetically modified food out and put some as more natural food out, the insects and the animals will eat the natural stuff, but they will leave the other stuff. They will sniff the other stuff and just leave it alone because there's nothing in it that's good. And that's the way our world has been. There's nothing in our world that has been created by the system, by the corporate masters, if you will. There's nothing good in that system. And yet we are transforming it and making it good. We are changing it by changing ourselves. We are awakening the divine that has the greater ability, the greater power to actually overcome all of the obstacles that have been thrown in our paths. They have been thrown in our paths to enslave us, to impoverish us, to make us weaker. But contrary to the intent, those very things that have been thrown in our paths have been the necessary contrast and the necessary stress to awaken us from our slumber and sleep and to get us out of the nightmarish, hellish world created by psychopaths that have thrived on doing harm to people and violating every spiritual principle of every good religion. Not that there's any religion I don't think that's really good. None of them. They're all corrupted. But yet there is a spiritual element and a spiritual essence even in all religion, because there has to be a level of truth or nobody would buy it. So they put a little bit of truth mixed with a whole lot of crap, and then we're able to take the poison that way. They camouflage the poison. But it's all ours. I mean, David Icke was going to great pains to show all the symbols and how the symbols have manipulated us. But this is a time when we're awakening from that, and we're saying, well, they may have used the symbols that way. They may have had that intent, but now there's a new intent. There's a new awareness, and just being aware that that was the intent changes the whole content of the mission, changes the whole ability of the manipulation to perform its intended function by the dark overlords, if you will, of the underworld. And we are coming up from that underworld and being empowered and being fed with the manna from heaven that renourishes our soul and restores us to our natural place in the universe. This is what I see happening and what I think the dream was trying to get through to me. That we are in a time and in a place in our evolutionary awakening that everything that had been turned inside out and upside down is being reversed. It's the anti-adromia, the reverse flow of energy that Carl Jung talked about. The shifting of the degradation of life into the blossoming and the flowering of life again. This is an absolutely beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful imagery that I will be pondering throughout the day, because it's something that our soul needs to hear. And I invite you to share this, if it resonates at all with you, to share it so that others might find that little spark within themselves and have it ignited, have it be a catalyst to ignite and ignite and ignite that which is in us that has been lulled to sleep in a world of manipulation, a world of mind control, a world of a paradigm of mass consciousness where lack has been the predominating thing, to one where we now can celebrate our abundance and celebrate the greatness of who we are and recognize that we are each a part of the divine. We are each sons and daughters of the living God. That's all I'm going to share with you this morning. I do plan on going to the rally today at City Hall here in Melbourne, Florida, and I think Peter Van Runt is going to be in Canberra, or Canberra as I say it, but in the capital district of Australia, and he's going to be going to the Monsanto demonstration there, and we're going to create a video, I think on Sunday if everything goes well, that will be shown on Monday morning where we each talk about our experience. But in the meantime, of course, I will be back tomorrow morning with another one of my talks. I don't know what it'll be. And then after that, Peter and I will connect and talk about our experience at the rallies here on Saturday, in our respective Saturdays. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Namaste. There it is.